We are diving deep into a wonderful conversation with some strangers in this.
Where have you guys been?
Wendy Smith.
We missed you.
Been busy the last couple of weeks. Miss seeing you guys in here, but that just means that when we show up today, we got lots of news, good news to pass along.
Good news. Yeah.
Yay. Great news.
What do we got?
Well, we had our
Let's hear
financial
it.
report yesterday, was presented to us from last year's financial report. Looks good. Looks excellent.
Yeah.
Finances, or the income is up, the expenses are down. We're doing good.
Yeah. So bottom line, increase in cash is almost 500,000
500,000, yeah.
from
Jeez.
16 to 17.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
What do you
Very
attribute
cool.
that to?
Really, expenses being down, I think,
yeah.
is huge because the revenues, are pretty stagnant. They're just going up, by like a,
Small percentage,
1.5%
Oh, okay.
overall.
But it's, cutting expenses.
Yeah.
What were some of the main ones that you can think of that were cut?
Main expenses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just we're kind of back to the basics.
Personnel's a big one.
Yeah, personnel. We're just doing more with less.
Yeah.
But I think overall, just maintenance wise, et cetera, we're just focusing on really our core mission.
Sure.
Not dabbling into real extreme, maintenance efforts. We're doing the mowing and we're doing the roofs and we're doing the foundations and things that, are contractor,
That need to be done.
that
Yeah.
are contracted, in our leases. And so, we're doing projects, of course, but I think that's it. We're just kind of keeping tight on, not that we're,
And just watching every penny.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're just not being, spending.
Turning the water off, not letting the electricity's down.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You mentioned watching the dollars. Has this also been a benefit since moving? It's been a few years now from the accrual basis to the cash basis or whatever. How you guys?
I
check
don't
your
think
accounting? Did that do anything?
Could be a little bit.
I don't think it has that much impact at all.
Yeah, I
really.
think over time we're doing less. Like just our statement alone is less paperwork and less to fill out.
Well, so
but
that's a cut.
A
yeah,
little bit of a personnel and
Yeah.
time,
Yeah,
time
yeah.
management.
but that all takes time, and so we're coming into feeling those benefits. What's interesting always with a financial statement for the state auditor is every year they prescribe new items, and so you feel like you submit your financial statement and you feel like, oh, this year we're streamlined and next year we'll just be able to change the numbers, But every year they come up with something new. And this year the big thing, and this is really big, and it was like in the last week before submittal. So, you have from, January to kind of the end of May, it's 150 days past the end of the year or whatever, to turn this in. Well, we turned it in on the last day to turn in, but if you had turned it in early, you might have to resubmit because they asked us to mention and talk about all the recoverable grants. Now, what that means is like FAA, they grant us, all the time.
Yeah.
And so all of their properties that are granted, or even the airport property itself, is a recoverable grant. If we screw it up or we sell the property, it all goes back to
to the
them. And we
federal
have to now note this in our statement.
Oh,
so,
wow.
All the way back to the beginning of time.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So we did not, because we didn't have time to do that, but we did kind of our most current ones, and then we're going to actually probably as a finance group around the state say, hey, you guys put this on us really last minute. Can we have a year to really get our arms around this and can you clarify it? But the biggest thing is obviously whenever they come up with something like this, something happened.
Yeah.
Somebody
Oh,
got a
yes.
grant and they didn't,
Failed
have the
to
money to pay it
perform.
back or whatever. And so
So
that's
it affects everyone.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So, but yeah, we're looking good. This will be on our website, so people can check it out. It's boring.
So
but-
now, what do you do with this? Throw a party. No, what do you do? That's a major numbers. Are there upgrades that you need to make to some of your buildings, or
Oh, yeah.
you
So-
hold on to it until the need is there?
My idea is I think we need a reserve. And,
Sure.
Yes.
and my goal when I came on the commission was to build a reserve of $3 million. Because we had a reserve back then of almost zero. We didn't have much
Oh.
Yeah.
back then.
Yeah.
And we're at 3
Well, in the bank, we're at
Yeah.
4.4.
Wow.
4.4, yeah,
400,000. But
So you do have a
but
little
we
reserve.
have,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of that is dedicated. I mean, we have old bonds, we have new bonds, which is really more exciting news than this. So if I can just
Oh.
say,
Yeah,
since we
going
were
on.
here,
Yeah.
since we've been here,
We've
we
been
went back
talking
to
to
the
CERB.
table with
Yeah.
CERB,
Yeah.
and we got approved.
Nice.
On May
That
17th,
is
yeah.
huge.
So we actually got our funding for $1.5 million
very cool.
at a rate of 1.5%.
Wow.
That's great.
And we got $500,000 in grant. So that's with partnership with Belco Forest Products. So I'm hoping that I can convince them to come down here and they can tell their own
Yeah.
story. But we're super excited. So
Cool.
they need further expansion space, and we're excited to
Maybe we'll
partner
get
and
a
do that.
restaurant down there.
Seems like this curve.
I'm
seems like
pushing
this
for
curve
that.
thing has really helped and benefited the port.
Oh,
it
super.
has. It
yeah.
has.
It's
Yeah.
a great program. Yeah.
This is what, the third one in the past 3 years?
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, we did one in 16, one in 17, and now one in 18.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are other
So-
ports calling you guys asking for help on sending in their information?
I know.
They're not, but they were on this one. They were surprised because CERB lost its funding. I mean, they didn't get funded when the capital budget didn't
Yeah.
get passed, and so everybody kind of went away from that and thought, well, it's not even a viable. And I just happened to, because of our conversations with Belco, I just happened to say, well, let me look into this. And when I did, it was like back up and going.
Oh,
They
wow.
had gotten their capital budget passed, and I went, we better get on this right away. For Belco, they were like, oh my gosh. So we had to move quick.
That's
so
cool. Well, that's real
Yeah,
cool. That's
super
a big,
exciting.
a
That's
big
big.
benefit
Yeah.
to the. How do you guys maintain year after year positive movement? These are great numbers that we've been talking about. You getting these grants and things like that, without calling out any other governmental entities. You guys are elected officials. Dick's the commission chair and things like that. How is it that the ports in the state are able to seemingly work better together, more fiscally responsible? I don't
Well,
even know
yeah,
how to
I don't
put
know
it
that it's more fiscally responsible. Ports are municipal governments, but we're there for economic development. We don't do any legislative stuff at all. We don't write any ordinances. We don't do any enforcement of codes or police
Yeah,
things.
the regulatory.
We just
Oh,
don't
okay.
do that.
Okay.
We're
We could.
different, and we could, and some ports do. For example, Port of Seattle has a police force and a fire department
Oh,
up
yeah.
there and all that sort of thing
Oh, okay.
for the airport and their properties and down on the waterfront. But so we're different entities than other government entities, and we're set up to make money. I mean, that's why we're there. We're not there to be governing.
service providers. or
Service
something.
providers.
Well,
or,
and you look at our budget each year, and the tax portion is minimal,
Yeah.
where cities or counties or other entities, I mean,
That's
the
their
tax,
whole
the
dependent- that's what
tax
they're
portion
dependent
is, and we're just not.
Sure.
And so we're dependent on our tenants and on those relationships, and they're
the
paying
income from them.
Yeah, they're paying the way. So, yeah, so
That's
it's just
how we're
different.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's just
So,
different.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What else is going on? Vicky mentioned a restaurant. I'm sure she's
Yeah, I
talking about the marina.
Yeah.
I'm going to push
How are things looking down there? Anything new?
Marina, we're still working with the appraisal. So he had 45 days so we hired SH&H out of Tacoma, and I think it's SH&H Valuation and Consulting, and they had 45 days from our letter of engagement, which was just a couple weeks ago. But they're actively working. He did a site visit last week, and I get a phone call a couple times a day, usually just asking, about different things, because they look at rents, they look at income, they look at property owned, they look at agreements. Like we have a port management agreement with DNR on some of those tide lots, because we can't have property in the harbor, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's just, some questions, but we're just kind of waiting on that and then take
see
it
what
to the
happens.
board and do our next step, and figure out where to go from there.
You guys think
So.
a decision by the end of the year on this, or as soon as
Yeah,
possible?
I think we have to, because the failing dock
Oh,
is
yeah.
not going away.
And the winters are only
Yeah.
getting
Gets
worse.
closer.
Yeah, so I mean,
closer.
right now we feel pretty good because it's sunny in summer and there's
Right.
not big storms. But yeah, it's it's kind of nerve wracking in some sense. So
The unknown.
one last thing on
Yep.
this financial statement, part of the good looking dollars on this was due to we used our insurance. We're in a risk pool, Endurus, and they've been fantastic. I mean, we really have never had many claims,
over
but
the years,
when you need them, and they're there, and so they did, the piling replacement emergency and
Done
they
some
did
roofs.
they did a big roof at Johns Prairie. I mean, there's, certain
nice.
things that, I mean, they did half of that.
Oh,
So, I
it
mean,
wasn't a lot of out-of-pocket costs.
right.
Right.
So there's good
Oh,
things
that's
there.
helpful.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Very nice.
Well, that's always good news
And
coming
the
out of the
Mariners are
port.
doing great.
Yes.
How about that?
Yeah.
What a good game that was. 7-1. I love that.
Yesterday is the first time since August of '03 that they are in the catbird seat here.
Yeah.
AL
Oh,
West.
wow.
I like
Awesome.
it.
I like it too.
Dick Taylor,
It's fun.
Wendy Smith, always good conversations with you. Don't be a stranger.
Yes.
We won't.